What is up, everyone? Today I'm going to be talking about the three levels of value that you can perceive yourself in, and how belief systems on what you ascribe to value can definitely limit you. And I'm going to illustrate how certain categorizations of value aren't truly what value is. It is a very subjective term. So there's three levels of value, and why is this important? First off, it's very useful in how you perceive yourself and how that will convey across implicitly and explicitly in your body language and your tonality, how you talk, and so forth, which is very helpful in not only uh, getting along with others, but uh, how they perceive and like you. And it doesn't matter if everyone likes you. You'll always get haters, but it is important if you're trying to attract that special someone, whether it's the same gender or the opposite gender. It's that special someone, and let's just get started. So there's three levels of value. There's the perception of, hey, I'm higher value than you. There's the equal value, which is, hey, we are equals. I look at you as equal. And then there's the mindset of below value, which is I am below value than you. And basically, the worst one is obviously I am below value than you, which can lead you to a lot of negative mindsets, which can ultimately hurt you in the dating realm. Obviously, there's different levels of value that do make sense in terms of social hierarchy, just due to our history as humans. With slavery, obviously the slaves in the plantations knew they had lower value. But nowadays, with greater equality, I definitely think that these social hierarchy things have been thrown away, and different things hold us back. A lot of them just being our own mindsets and beliefs. Um, I guess the biggest illustration is uh, if you if you're the most good-looking guy, the most handsome guy in the entire world, and you have a negative belief system, belief system that just says you are ugly, or you are below value than everyone because you're poor, or you're not that rich. And there's people out there like that. They will not do good with women. They won't even be. They won't even have enough courage to approach, because they will be like, I am hindering this woman. I am bothering her. She knows she has all this value and all this attention from all these guys. I don't want to be another flea bothering her on her day-to-day routine. It's bothersome. She knows she doesn't want it. I know she doesn't want it. And it's coming from a definite place of low value, of I am so little value compared to her, I shouldn't even approach. That sort of thing. So, long story short, even if you're the most handsome guy on the earth, Brad Pitt or whoever, if you believe you're ugly, and you have that sort of belief system where no one in the world can convince you otherwise, then in your reality, you are ugly, and that will convey over to other people's realities. Having said all that, obviously, therefore, you go to the other spectrum, which is at least equal value. And by at least, I mean, you can be a little bit arrogant. That's optimal. If you go overboard, you hit the point where arrogance becomes a huge turnoff to a lot of people. And that doesn't always work for a lot of people. But for some people, it can work. And ultimately, you become polarizing, and you may get a lot of people who hate you, but the people who stick around won't just like you or be lukewarm, they will love you. So that's a whole nother topic for another video on polarizing, but you get the point. So there's these three levels of value, and obviously the greater extent that you are an extreme in one of them. So if you on extreme level think you're below value than someone, that will bleed across in your body language, how you talk, your tonality, etc. And it will come across as a huge turnoff. Your body language will be very erratic, sporadic. You become nervous, shy. A lot of things you want to say or that may come across entertaining, or at least establish some sort of connection with that special someone you're interested in, you're too scared to even say it, or you're just too scared and nervous. So, you know, actually getting to that level of equal value or above value is a whole nother story, and it's not some overnight fix. There's no magic pill. It's an organic cultivating sort of thing, sort of like a muscle, but more so not just a difference in how you think and how you're wired in your mentality, but also your achievements, what you're doing on a daily basis, what you strive to accomplish. So what you define as things that you think you should be proud of, such as starting a business. And if you achieve that and you let those sort of things grow, you organically over time sort of grow this thing of, hey, I have value, I think I'm pretty awesome. And then you stop coming from a place of she's better than me in a place of she's equal to me, or she may be worse off than me. Now, having said all that, I definitely think that some people have a very hard time of ever getting there because they have created a limiting belief system where their only two categorizations of value are being very rich or being very famous, just to pull out two random examples. With such a strict categorization, it means that this man will only ever get to that perspective if he achieves these things, and that may be near impossible for him. And so it's almost impossible for him to get anywhere. But if you expand your thinking, obviously, let's just think of someone like Tony Robbins. There's plenty of people in this world who themselves embody, and they also believe that the most awesome people in this world are not necessarily the richest people. Heck, there's even poor people who are more awesome than the richest people in the world. Heck, in my opinion, I think there's plenty of awesome people who are more awesome through their personalities, what they've done, who they've helped in their life, rather than the most handsome person in the world or the richest people in the world. And so there's a huge variety of ways you can define success, achievements, and value in a person. And because of this, it can expand greatly. So in my opinion, my personal thing, and obviously it differs for different people, is that I definitely respect someone who has given a lot to other people. Not necessarily through volunteering, but maybe just on a day-to-day basis based off their personality and how they interact with other people. Are they giving value, helping others, or constantly trying to suck it and take it? And another big thing I respect is integrity. Another huge one is just hard work, diligence, perseverance, passion, and so forth. Because in my opinion, there are a lot of people who work just as hard, are just as sharp and keen, or not a lot. There's a few rare gems here and there that are just as sharp and keen, work just as hard as some of the richest people or the highest social status or most famous people, if not harder. It's just that their profession or their topic of interest is not one that is lucrative. It's not one that makes a lot of money. It's just how the dice have fallen. And for them, it doesn't matter. And for me, it doesn't matter because, heck, that person is hella smart. She's super smart. He's super smart. She has a lot of great interests, great passions, yada, 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 etc. And so there's a wide variety of perspectives one can take on this and classify it as value. And therefore, if you widen that through your achievements, you can sort of build your perspective and stop coming from a negative perspective of hey, I'm lesser value than that person. Um, and obviously, it can be tough, and you will run into people who don't understand it, and you don't have time to give them your life story to explain it to you. And even then, they may just be trying to push your buttons, and they may not see you as a value. Everyone will get that. But ultimately, you have to, move on from that, ignore those people, and grow from that experience. And so there's multiple ways you can ascribe to value, and obviously there are the bigger patterns. A lot of people do ascribe wealth or riches to value, but in my opinion, it is not the only thing, and it's not a must for sure. There are definitely people who are much more interesting and much more entertaining than these boring millionaires who just work 80 hours a week at a boring job and are just irritable and cold and don't do anything. So ultimately, it's a whole variety of things. And heck, I'm not taking a stab against millionaires. There's also just as interesting millionaires who are not boring in any way. But it is a huge circle of different people. And so I guess ultimately it comes to growing that, for one. For two, knowing that there will be haters or people who don't understand your value, even if you yourself have finally gotten to a state where you're like, I am of value. And you approach that person thinking that you're equal value or above value. You have to have that groundedness and tenacity and assuredness in yourself despite those obstacles and those dissenters. And then the third and final thing is simply just having that value and just finally getting to that place, that mindset of equal value or above value, and you stop coming from this place of below value in terms of meeting that special someone. So instead of that below value thing where you're like, oh my gosh, I'm scared to do anything, I don't want to become bothersome, you're now in this place of, hey, I'm so great, we're both having a great time, I know that you enjoy my company, I know you enjoy what I bring to the table when I talk to you, whether it's my personality, what I have to say, etc. Here's my phone number, I know you would like it because so many people want it, but I choose to give it to you. So it's a different perspective for sure than, oh my goodness, please, 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 give me your phone number. I know everyone's pining for yours, and I'm just a lonely one in a dozen like-minded people who are just average and have no value. No, don't come from that perspective. And so that's all I really want to say in a nutshell. And I definitely think that value is very, very subjective. So heck, who's to say that this girl that you're pining over is really that great? Like, okay, what does she have that you don't have? Now, this is a very dangerous thing to think about, of course, because you can end up, like, if you're really crazy, you can come up, bring across a really distorted belief system. But who's to say that just because this girl is very arrogant and thinks she's better than you truly means that she's better than you? You can't just assume her reality all the time if you meet someone. But again, with a grain of salt, you have to sometimes take a step aside and realize, hey, do I really have value? If not, go ahead and organically over the years achieve that. But having said that, you don't always want to listen to the person who's like, I'm so much better than you, because heck, who cares if she's good looking, or who cares if she has 10 times more friends than you? You could be a completely better person. You could be nicer to everyone. You can be more interesting. And so you don't want to lower yourself to that level of being arrogant or stingy or bitter that she rejected you or thinks she's better than you or so forth. And at the same time, just because a girl has a lot of beauty doesn't mean much in the long run. It's like, okay, you're beautiful, you lucked out, God gave that to you, you didn't earn it. And sometimes, they somewhat did by, working on their fashion, dressing up, spending a lot of time with their makeup and so forth. But oftentimes it's something they've stumbled across. And ultimately with that, it's like, you know, hey, that's just one thing, and heck, you were born with it. What else do you have? I work really hard in school. I have good grades. I do this, I do that. And yeah, just work on it and just realize, hey, don't cry yourself to sleep just because this girl rejected you. I mean, heck, she could have straight D's, and everyone thinks she's cool right now because she's really attractive and has a lot of friends. But again, take a step aside and add a little grain of salt when you're thinking about what I have to say. That's all I really want to say. And as always, like, favorite, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.